In the previous lecture, we have derived equation for mass defect. This is equation for mass defect. Now, where is this mass going? As I already told you, delta M is the discrepancy or the difference between masses of the constituents and masses of the nucleus. So where is this mass going? This mass actually gets converted into energy. This mass defect delta M gets converted. It gets converted into energy. Mass defect delta M gets converted into energy, and that energy is calculated as E is equal to delta M into C square. And this is proposal made by Einstein, and it is called Einstein's mass energy equivalence. It is mass energy equivalence. So what actually happens is the mass defect which is observed in any nucleus, it is the difference in masses of the constituents and actual mass of the nucleus. That mass gets converted into energy, and that energy will bind the nucleus. So greater the mass defect, greater will be the binding energy, and this energy is used in binding nucleons in nucleus. Therefore, it is said to be binding energy of the nucleus. It is said to be binding energy of the nucleus. So, mass defect is responsible for binding energy of the nucleus. Thus, mass energy equivalence is the relation which gives total binding energy of a nucleus. To bind the total nucleons within a nucleus, how much amount of energy is being required. Such energy is called binding energy, and that binding energy can be calculated as delta M into C square, where C is speed of the light. It is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second, and delta M is mass defect. It is in AMU. As atomic number increases, constituent number increases, number of protons increases, along with that number of neutrons also increases. Say for example, you are taking helium whose atomic number is 2 and 4. And likewise, we have another nucleus, say uranium 92, 234. Uranium atomic number is 92, mass number is 234. Actually, atomic number, that means number of protons present here is 92. So number of protons is equal to 92. Number of neutrons is equal to 234, or let me take it as 232, make it simple. 232 minus 92. This is 0, and it will become 4, and this is nearly 140 is number of neutrons. Neutron number is much greater than that of proton number. So the number of constituents within uranium nucleus is increased a lot compared to that of helium. As helium has only 2 protons, the repulsive force is very less. In order to compensate that repulsive force, there are only 2 number of neutrons required. such that there comes attractive nuclear force, and that nuclear force magnitude is sufficient to bind helium nucleus. But coming to uranium nucleus, it's completely theoretical understanding. Just pay attention what I am teaching you. If you are coming to uranium nucleus, there are 92 protons. As the number of protons increases, the repulsive force between proton increases. Therefore, the nucleus size tends to increase. In order to compensate the nuclear force, if only 92 protons are balanced with 92 neutrons, the attractive force acting between 92 neutrons may not be sufficient for the uranium nucleus to bind it within a range of 10 power minus 15. Therefore, additional nucleon number is to be required in order to increase the force. Therefore, those nucleons which are additionally required are the number of neutrons. That's the reason why your neutron number is becoming much greater. It is nearly 140. The nucleon force, which is nuclear force, it should compensate electrostatic force, and it should bind, not only compensating, it should bind the nucleus to a size of 10 power minus 15 range. Therefore, much greater attractive magnitude force is required. Then where does this energy a nucleus get? The nucleus will gain this energy from mass defect. So as the number of constituents are increased, mass defect of the nucleus increases. Mass defect of the nucleus increases, binding energy increases. E is equal to delta m into c square. Binding energy increases, and that binding energy bind the whole nucleons within the range of 10 power minus 15 meter. And this energy is said to be binding energy of that particular nucleus. And binding energy for helium is quite less than that of binding energy for uranium nucleus. Uranium require greater binding energy because the number of constituents are more in number. 92 protons are there. The repulsive force will be greater in magnitude. So in order to compensate that force and to bind the nucleus, there will be more number of nucleon particles which are to be in the nucleus. So in order to get those, we are going on adding number of neutrons. So heavier massless nucleus have more number of neutrons in order to bind the nucleus with greater stability. So that is how mass defect is getting converted into energy, and this results Einstein's mass energy equivalence E is equal to delta m into c square. Einstein have first explained this, the mass getting converted into energy, and that binding energy is used in binding the nucleus. Einstein's mass energy equivalence. Einstein have proposed mass energy equivalence in theory of relativity, and he have proposed that the energy which is required to bind mass, the energy which is required to bind masses of that particular constituents is equal to mass defect into c square, where c is the speed of the light. This energy is called binding energy. So m is mass defect here, and c is equal to 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second, which is the speed of the light. So clearly, as mass defect increases, binding energy also increases. Therefore, greater nucleus has more mass defect. As a result, they have greater binding energy, and that binding energy is required to bind all the nuclear particles like nucleons. Now you can take example of solar. This is sun. As we know, sun is made up of helium and hydrogen gas. Now the total mass, like it is nuclear particles, the proton-proton cycles taking place in the nucleus. We will be learning about that nuclear effects in the next coming slides. For time being, you just remember that if you are taking a sun or any star, in that star there will be many hydrogen atoms. It is simply a proton and a neutron. Similarly, hydrogen pair up, like they undergo bonding, and they become hydrogen isotope. Such hydrogen isotopes combine to form helium gas. This process goes on continuously in the form of chain reaction, resulting in binding energy for sun. And such reactions which are taking place in sun are said to be nuclear reactions, and such energy is called nuclear energy. So the energy which is obtained in the form of E equal to mc square, where m is mass defect, is said to be nuclear energy if m is mass defect. There are many such practical examples for conversion of mass into energy. Say you can have an explosion bomb. Usually its mass is very small. Like for example, this is the size of the mass. Like m can be 1 gram. This is mass. Mass is just 1 gram. And this 1 gram mass gets converted into energy after explosion, and it produces light energy, it produces heat energy, and it produces sound energy. So if you are taking one gram of explosion, and that after explosion gets converted into energy, and that energy is in the form of light, heat, and sound. If you calculate how much energy comes out in this process, you are just taking mass as 1 gram. I'll use this in Einstein's mass energy relation. You can get it as E is equal to 1 into 10 power minus 3 kg into c square. It is 9 into 10 power 16 meter square per second square. This is equal to 9 into 10 power minus 13 kg meter square per second square, or you can write it as 9 into 10 power plus 13 joule. This is the amount of energy which is obtained, right? So Einstein's mass energy relation states that if you are destroying one small part of mass, it gets converted into energy, and that energy is very, very, very high. Likewise, the total energy which you gather, see here we have mass 1 gram. 1 gram gets converted into energy, light, heat, and sound. Practically combining light energy, heat energy, and sound energy to get mass is not possible. The converse of mass energy equivalence cannot be practically possible. Theoretically it is valid, but practically it does not happen so, because binding 9 into 10 power 13 joule of energy is not practically possible for us. Therefore, gathering all energy getting converted into mass is not practically possible, but mass, 1 gram mass or 1 milligram mass can be destroyed to convert it into energy. That's what, if you destroy very small amount of energy, it gets converted. If you destroy very small amount of mass, it gets converted into very high energy. That's what Einstein's mass energy relation states. That's the reason why, even though the mass defect is very, very small in case of a nucleus, it is of order 10 power minus 27. It's always in the order of 1 AMU. Even though its mass defect is very small, once if it is multiplied with c square, it becomes very high energy, and that energy is sufficient to bind the nucleus. Like that, if a star, in a star there are many such innumerable number of nucleus, hydrogen, helium nucleus are present within that star. So to bind those all nucleus, there should be some mass getting converted into energy, and that mass will produce light and as well as heat and as well as sound energy. So usually sun gives us light energy and heat energy. It is due to conversion of mass into energy. So that's what mass energy equivalence gives the practical and theoretical significance of continuous burning of mass in sun to produce solar energy in the form of light and as well as heat. Not only in sun, in all stars same thing happens. We got mass defect delta M. So I can simply write binding energy as is equal to delta M into C square. Binding energy is equal to, how can I write delta M? It is Z times mass of proton plus A minus Z times mass of neutron minus X Z A whole multiplied with C square. This is binding energy. That is for whole nucleus. Binding energy for the whole nucleus. Whereas if you want to calculate binding energy per nucleon, binding energy per nucleon. How many nucleons are present in particular nucleus? It is equal to number of nucleons is equal to mass number. The total number of nucleons which are present in the nucleus is equal to its mass number. So binding energy per nucleon, I can write it as binding energy per nucleon is Be by A, which is equal to ZMP plus A minus Z into Mn minus XZA into C square divided by its mass number A. That means binding energy per nucleon is energy required to bind one nucleon in a nucleus. Just like how for binding hydrogen atom in the first orbital, how much energy is required? It is minus 13.6 electron volt. The electron in the electron which is revolving around the nucleus, in Bohr's atomic model we have learned that to bind one electron in the Bohr's first orbit, 13.6 electron volt of energy is required. Likewise, to bind a nucleus and to bind one proton or one neutron within the nucleus, this much amount of energy is required. It is binding energy per nucleon. If you are providing practically such energy to a nuclear particle like a proton or a neutron, that can come out from the nucleus giving very high amount of energy equal to binding energy per nucleon. So in order to pull a nucleon from nucleus, you need to provide an energy which is equal to binding energy per nucleon. Binding energy per nucleon will be slightly differed from one nucleus to another nucleus, but the overall it is near to 7.9 million electron volt. It's average binding energy of nucleus 7.9 MeV. M is million electron volt. And packing fraction of the nucleus. The other definition is packing fraction of the nucleus. So packing fraction is mass defect per nucleon. So if you calculate mass defect per nucleon, we just call it as packing fraction. And I already explained delta M by A, mass defect per nucleon. So mass defect per nucleon is said to be packing fraction. If packing fraction is negative, then the nucleus is more stable. If the packing fraction is positive, then the nucleus is said to be unstable. So unstable nucleus and stable nucleus. You can classify unstable and stable nucleus based on their binding energy and also packing fraction. Of course, packing fraction, if you are able to calculate packing fraction, then obviously that gives you binding energy. Binding energy per nucleon can be obtained by calculating packing fraction, vice versa. Variation of binding energy per nucleon with mass number. As we know, in periodic table, you can, like in a periodic table, mass number starts with 1 and mass number can increase up to 240, 250 like that. So mass number is variable, like in a periodic table, mass number will be varied up to 240. Likewise, atomic number starts with Z is equal to 1 and atomic number ends with like nearly 130, 140 like that. So when we are dealing with binding energy of the nucleus, for each nucleus, the binding energy value will be differed. If you plot graph for binding energy per nucleon for all the nucleus, starting from hydrogen to the last element, if you plot graph, the binding energy curves looks like it is displayed on the screen. The binding energy curves look like this. On y-axis, you are taking binding energy per nucleon. On x-axis, you are taking mass number. Hydrogen H12, its binding energy is near to 1 million electron volt. And remember, this is million electron volt. So hydrogen isotope H12, we generally call it as deuterium. So this is deuteron actually. Deuteron H12. Its atomic number is 1, mass number is 2. Its binding energy per nucleon is 1. And the helium-24, its binding energy is nearly greater than 7.6 million electron volt. And then for lithium, it is nearly 7.6. And then carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and it goes on variable. Finally, the maximum binding energy which is obtained is for Fe56. Fe56, and it is 8.79 MeV. So binding energy is maximum for Fe56 and its value is 8.79. And beyond that, as mass number goes on increases from this range, mass number is increasing, it is becoming greater than 56. What happens to binding energy per nucleon? Binding energy per nucleon is slowly decreasing, and finally binding energy per nucleon value is always in between 7.6 and 8.79. So clearly you can look it here. The final value for mass number greater than 210, it is lying in between 7.6 and 8.79. 8.79 is the maximum binding energy per nucleon, and the minimum binding energy per nucleon is for hydrogen. The average binding energy per nucleon for all the elements is lying in between 7.6 and 8.79. This is binding energy per nucleon curve with respect to mass number. We can draw some conclusions from this graph. The main features of binding energy curve are: number 1, the minimum value of binding energy per nucleon, it is for deuteron and its value is 1.11 million electron volt, and the maximum value for binding energy per nucleon is 8.7 million electron volt, and this is for iron, which is the most stable. So in order to pull one nucleon from iron, you need to provide an energy of 8.7 million electron volt. Unless that, you cannot drag a proton or a neutron out from the nucleus. So it is most stable element in the periodic table. And next, binding energy is high in the range 28. Like binding energy value is very high. It is in the range of mass number between 28 and 138. The binding energy of these nuclei is very close to 8.7 million electron volt. So therefore, those elements whose mass number is in between 28 and 138 usually have greater average binding energy. It is 8.7 million electron volt. Therefore, they are said to be stable elements. And further increase in the mass number, binding energy per nucleon decreases, and consequently for heavy nuclei like uranium, it is very, very small, 7.6 million electron volt. So clearly you can understand that those elements whose mass number is less than 138, they are stable nucleus. And those elements whose mass number is greater than 138, they are unstable elements, because these unstable elements have binding energy per nucleon less. As binding energy per nucleon is less, therefore, to drag a neutron or a proton or any other nucleon from the nucleus becomes very easy for elements whose mass number is greater than 138. That's the reason why they are said to be unstable nucleus. Why they are unstable? Because the number of nuclear particles are increased for mass number greater than 138. That is binding energy curve plotted for different nucleus, and this is very important graph.